Top 5 plumbing calls that I get. Now, most of y'all know that I've owned a plumbing company for about 5 years. Recently, I sold Texas Green Plumbing to Rescue Air, but we still run plumbing calls and I'm still involved. I get to talk to the plumbers, work with the plumbers, and work with Michael and Josh, the other owners, which is fantastic. But I wanted to talk about what calls we do most. The reason being, well, a lot of people ask me, what does your everyday look like as a plumber? Well, as a plumber and what I do now are a little bit different, but I wanted to talk with y'all about the top 5 calls we do. As a plumber, this is going to help you because you'll know what you'll be getting into if you're looking at getting into the trade. If you're a homeowner, stay and listen because as I go through this, I'm going to tell you some things that you can do to see if you really need to call a plumber. So number one, and one of the biggest ones, is water heaters. And the reason being is if people don't have hot water, they're going to call somebody immediately. Now, the good thing about that is a lot of times it may not need to be replaced. If your water heater is not leaking, it may just be a repair. If you just don't have hot water, it could be anything like, if it's a gas water heater, it could be the thermocoupling. It could be that the thermocoupling just went out. It could be a bad gas valve. It could be a few different things. Now, some of these things are under warranty. Now, I did say that depending on the age of the water heater, you may be able to fix it. If you've got a water heater that's 6 or 7 years old and it's not leaking, you may be able to fix it, but actually, you're probably just throwing your money away. The reason being, most water heaters have a 6-year warranty. And after 6 years, well, guess what? That's normally when they start having breakage problems. That's when they start leaking. Don't get me wrong, I've seen water heaters last 20 years. They're few and far between, and they've been well taken care of. They've been flushed on a regular basis. A lot of things have happened. But water heater replacement might be a smarter option. As your water heater gets older, say it is 6 years old, and it's going to cost you $500 or $600 to fix it. Wouldn't you rather put that $500 or $600 towards a new water heater than invest in a water heater that could rupture or break in the next week, month, year, maybe even 2 years? Is it worth it to you to do that? No, that's your call. A lot of things go into that. How long are you going to be there? How long do you take showers? Do you run out of showers? Is your water heater very efficient? Because as it gets older, it's much less efficient. So think about these things before you just throw money at a problem. Number 2, and this is another one that when people have this problem, they want to call immediately: drain cleaning. If you've got a stopped up drain, whether it's a toilet, whether it's your kitchen sink, a lavatory, or maybe your entire house, maybe your main is stopped up because you've got roots or something. There could be a lot of different things. When your sewer, when your drain, when anything you have is clogged up and that nasty water is not leaving your house, trust me, that's when most people call a plumber quickly. So what can you do about it? Well, number one, as a homeowner, be careful of what you're putting down that drain. Literally, you don't just throw anything down the drain. It doesn't just go away like everybody thinks it does. It's not a magician's hat. You just throw it in, it disappears. To be honest, you want to make sure you're very careful about what you put down a garbage disposal, because even though it does chop it up, grind it up, it leaves it in your sewer line before it gets carried all the way out. If you do put things like that in your disposal, make sure you run plenty of water behind it to help rinse it out. Now, what if you do have a clogged drain? Are there things you can do? Yes, but none of them involve chemicals. Get a plunger, get a closet auger, get things that you can do to unclog drains that may help you. Now, what if you have an emergency and your entire house is stopped up? I've done videos before where I've shown people out front where their cleanouts are. You may be able to go pull the cleanout plug. It'll either be a rubber plug or a threaded cap, something like that. But get that off. That way that raw sewage is now coming up in your flower bed, not in your house. But you're still going to need to call a plumber to get it unstopped. And if you're a plumber, what should you always do if you have a stoppage? You need to run a camera behind it to see what caused it. That way, you don't leave them open for this problem to occur again. And another good thing is, if you run a camera behind every stoppage you do, 2 different things are going to happen. Number one, you can prove that you cleared it. You want to video it and save it to that file. Or if there's a breakage, you want to point it out to the homeowner. That way they know they have more serious problems that need to be addressed. Number 3, and this is one that became our specialty: leak detection. Leak detection was such a big deal because when I first got into plumbing, nobody really did it. It was a guess. Then people started buying equipment to help them figure out where things were a whole lot better. People started manufacturing equipment. God, I'm trying to manufacture my own equipment right now. But with sewer cameras and with the electronic leak detection equipment, you can find leaks and literally get right on it. So when I first opened my own company, I didn't know anything about it, but I hired other companies to do it for me. But every time they did it, I watched and learned. Then I started checking into equipment. I started checking into training. I got trained by some of the best people in the world because I wanted to be that caliber of a leak detector. So what I did, I started investing in the equipment. I started investing in the training. That way I could do it as good or better than anybody else around. And now it's worked out. We are known in our area for being very good at leak detection. I can train my plumbers, and I actually train other plumbers or plumbing companies that either want me to come out to them or send their people into me. Anyway, leak detection and learning how to do it, that is something that if you're not doing, that can increase your revenue as a plumbing company. As a homeowner, trust me, you want to make sure if you've got a leak, you want it found by a professional that knows exactly what they're doing. Number 4, and this is one that we started because of leak detection, but it's a water sewer test. We love working with real estate agents. Real estate agents, God, they're some of our best friends. If you own a plumbing company, think about it. You can do good work for a realtor and they can introduce you to hundreds of customers a year. You do bad work for a realtor, they'll tell every realtor they know, and you may be out of business. But for homeowners, one thing that we recommend to anybody buying a home is to do a sewer water test. Why? Would you buy a house not knowing if there's leaks up under it that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars? I know that sounds rough and that sounds harsh, but that is the truth. We have seen people buy houses that literally months after they bought it, they had to come in and invest $60,000 in an entire new sewer system because theirs was rotted out. You could tell by the cleanouts the homeowner knew about it because they had been working on it to unclog it many, many times. One thing we always recommend to realtors and people interested in buying a home, make sure you do a sewer water test. It can make the difference in whether you love your house or you hate it. And one of the last ones, and this is one that is really funny because we normally don't find it when it happens, and that's a frost proof. If a frost proof freezes and busts, man, there's an issue there. But the problem is it's normally in the middle of winter. Think about it. People leave their hoses hooked up to the frost proof. It doesn't drain out. It freezes right at the wall so that it comes inside and it ruptures right inside the wall. Now, remember, they've got it turned off. So the water is shut off way back here, but the rupture's out here. Well, here's what happens. They come back in the summertime, they decide to wash their car, they stretch the hose out, they go to the house, they turn it on, they go out by the garage, they go out by the driveway, they spray down their car, they soap it up, they wash it off, they rinse it off. Then they come back to turn the water off and they realize water is pouring out at the bottom of the brick ledge all along that wall. Well, they've got a freeze break inside the wall and they didn't know it because it was on the frost proof. This is something that really, as a homeowner, my biggest tip to you is every winter, at the beginning of winter, disconnect your hoses. God, carry them in the garage. Make sure nobody hooks them back up. But disconnect those hoses. That way, there is no water in the frost proof and you don't have any problems with that. Also, make sure that if you did leave a hose hooked up all winter, when you do go to turn it on, have a valve on the end of it, like a sprayer where it can turn off. Open it up at the wall, at the frost proof, and listen to it. Do you hear any water spraying inside the wall? If so, you may need to shut it off quickly. Now, as a plumber, man, if you can look inside that wall and see if that's threaded, that could be an easy repair. If not, you may have to open up the brick in case it's soldered, and then it can become a pain. Anyway, if you're a plumber, do me a favor and leave me a comment down below. What are the top 5 plumbing jobs that you get called out on every day? And if you're a homeowner, have you ever had to call a plumber for any of these? Or are there others that you just will not take on and are afraid to do? I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, helping you make more money in the trades.